Alright, you know what? We're just going to go live. So, this is your host and commander, and it's been kind of a rough day. Since I know a lot of people will watch this on VOD, I don't think this is going to be a long stream. At least I don't think it is. So, for those who haven't been watching the OpenBSD saga up until this point, I tried running it on ARM64 to index it on Git. It was slow. It was abnormally slow, and the if you pull up top, one thing I've actually learned I like about OpenBSD is it actually does say how much time the kernel is spending in spin lock, and I have to move that over to the other window. Sorry, I wasn't sure if I was going to be live streaming today because my plans basically went up in smoke. So let's see here. So what I did, partially to just kind of get an idea of what OpenBSD is like, is, and I've already had some fascinating experiences. I learned it doesn't enable hyperthreading by default, which does really wonderful things when you are running under Hyper-V. So, with that said, I have this installed on my desktop app solution, the one I normally used to use for streaming. I'm still on the laptop or just connected over SSH. I basically installed everything as is. I learned a couple of fascinating things that the OpenBSD Git import, you can only build OpenBSD current on OpenBSD current. It's the same blasted thing that Apple did with Darwin, but you can't even do it. Like, I can't build the current because of changes. I'd have to upgrade from the stable, which is what I'm currently on, 7.5, to a snapshot, and then compile current. And you can't. It was like, it drove me crazy. So I tried the Git checkout that I made last stream. That's the OpenBSD source branches. As it turns out, some of the files are not actually on the branch because of the way CVS behaves. Like, some of the make files that were never changed within a given release tag, never. I really hope that siren is not ending up on my stream. There's someone. I don't usually hear sirens on this street, so I hope it's nothing serious. You know what? Let me edit the title. Let me see. How many characters do I have left on the on M2 Mac? Yeah, I got enough characters left. Like I said, I just kind of threw the stream up. That should be more clear. Oh, you know what? I actually meant to start streaming on Twitch, but you know what? One thing at a time. Like I said, I wasn't even planning on streaming today, but my plans for today had completely fallen through. So, yeah, this has been a learning experience. I've also learned that OpenBSD does not appear to have implemented any, any sort of, like, major improvements. Like, the change own... Oh, no, that one did support R. I found some, like, weird omissions from the command line options that feel like everything else has, but maybe it's just me. So from so the only documentation I've actually found is in the makefile itself. Like, unlike NetBSD, the OpenBSD documentation is pretty light, and where it is, it's in the source code. So I made sure I could build local. I didn't know if that was actually required, but we do need to do a cross-building one. And, like, OpenBSD, it feels a lot slower. I'm not sure how much slower, but, like, building Clang took a couple hours before. I'm hoping it's not going to be that miserable. But I figured I'd throw the stream up. Even if it's silent, you know, there's people that still enjoy this. So let's see here. Target, ARM64, cross. I think cross tools is the actual target. User cross. Yeah, I started doing this and then I decided to throw the stream up. It's been a bit of a rough day for me. Not a bad day. Okay. Do I need to actually do the cross compiler as root? I guess I have to do the cross compiler as root. Like, yeah, okay. I guess I have to do that as root. All right. So this will start building a cross. Oh, actually, I need to -J this. I could try 12, but I have the distinct feeling one of the things I learned is OpenBSD turns off hyperthreading by default. I was only seeing I gave 6 the host system is a 6-core AMD Ryzen. It's a mid-range one that I threw in here in 2020. It's actually due for an upgrade cycle, but I'm not worried about it yet because nothing I've been doing has been CPU bound. It's just the next thing I'm going to upgrade in that system. Yeah. The cross-build options, though, have the same limitations as the... You know what? That coasting looks really irritating. I've been looking at this on and off. Most of today has been moving either stuff to the car or making arrangements to get rid of it. I got rid of quite a few bits of furniture. The bike also went away, and it's like... It's been rough. I've just been very happy that my time here is coming to an end. All I can say. There's more I want to say about that, but as things go, have my reasons not to go into details, so this is a to be continued. So one of the things that I'm also want to look at is, like I said, I kind of want to revive VAX support in OpenBSD. I'm not sure how miserable of an existence I'm going to feel by doing this. It might be very straightforward. It might be very, ooga booga bad. I've been rooted here since the start of the pandemic. This is where there were circumstances. Being here was both a good and bad thing, and that's about all I can say, but just being able, like I said, I've been writing about this on Patreon. At some point, I will rewrite it in something a little bit more coherent, especially when I am not literally halfway through this, because there are a lot of circumstances that don't make sense, and I hesitate to say something without the full context. But also, being able to sit here, have the stream up, and not think about it, or at least being able to vent about it to some degree, is healthy and cathartic. It's like, I've had a lot of energy the last several weeks, more so than usual. I think a lot of it is simply because I am not stuck in the nightmare that has been my life for a long time. The pandemic was a mixed bag. Yeah. Well, right now, a lot of it is just, it's going into a storage unit for the most part. Over the rest of this year, I'm getting rid of it as much as I can. I've found good homes for... I'm not getting rid of everything. What the plan for the channel going forward is I'm going to just rack everything I can rack. There are some systems that I basically got because they were a good deal at the time. They were basically stuff that were going to the trash or something someone threw in. Like I had my next station came with a free 2007 Intel Power Mac or Intel Mac, and like that can go to a good home because I've never turned it on. It came with the next station. The next station I'm keeping, although the CRT is getting junked, I think, as I mentioned before. I'm getting rid of some of the Sun stuff. I just haven't decided what I'm actually keeping yet. I'm either going to keep the Ultra 10, which has the Sun PCI card in it, or I'll keep the Spark Station 5. I just don't think I want to keep both, and I'm leaning more towards the 10. Although the 5 doesn't take up that much room as long as I don't have to run it with an external SCSI. So I realistically could run that system diskless, and because the one thing I might want to run on it is Next Step. The 486, the professional workstation I'm going to keep. The pizza boxes, I actually was able to take all the pizza boxes I have because I have a fondness for the form factor and put them all into a single plastic tub, and that's how they're going to be moved. I also have some things I'm going to get rid of. Like I have a bunch of 8-bit stuff that I thought about doing for a while. Like building the Pi 5141 was one of the ideas I went with the channel because you don't see it on the other side of the keyboard, but I went through some real creativity pain. Like I had no idea what I wanted to do with this YouTube channel. It was always supposed to be a one-off, and I kind of... It wasn't so much I ran out of ideas, but I went into analysis paralysis. I tried to focus on too many things at once, and it hurt. Yeah. No, the 4000, well, yeah, I mean, the 4000 is currently one of the last things I'm going to deal with. I did actually buy it, and I paid quite a bit for it, but I have had it recapped. I've kept the toaster in it, so I will probably hold on to it. It will find its way to a good home, as in I will probably actually see if I can find a museum. That's one of the very few things in my collection that is actually, I would consider a museum might actually be interested in, because there's very few toasters still in existence, especially. Mine still needs some work, but the toaster card is good. The Flyer chassis is good. And I did have it recapped. It is known to work. If nothing else, I might just put NetBSD onto it and turn it into like a stupid thing. Like I will do something with that system. I would run Amex on it if it was a 3000, but the 4000, well, technically I could run Amex on it. I would have to switch out the 68040 of a 68030, which does actually work. At that point, it is essentially an Amiga 3000, but I would also need a SCSI card for the damn thing, and those cards are damn near unobtainium. Yeah. Yeah. So it's been, I gotta tell you, just getting rid of a lot of things has been helpful. Like I have homes for a lot, like I have a lot of box software that I've just collected. That was the thing that kind of got the whole channel started, and I didn't have a lot of room when I started, so that was basically the few things. Is I bought something off eBay, made a video up about it, and that's kind of how it all started. And then I don't want to say it became a hoarding problem, but I've been avoiding taking in anything for a very long time, and this is kind of a very good breath of fresh air, even though it's predicated on the fact that, again, not going to be here soon. I'm using retro cool term. Cool retro term. Wow, that was... Yeah, this is probably... This is going to be... If this is going to build all LVM, I should have run this in screen. I should have completely run this in screen. Let me just Control-C that. There's, of course, nothing stopping me... Because I actually want to, like, do some stuff while this is going, so... screen, please. I've a large part of today, I've also been doing a whole lot of things like reorganizing the NAS and such. It has been a very, very long day. Like, I wasn't expecting to move anytime soon, but now that it's, well, more that it's finally here, because this has been a hypothetical, this has been something I've been naming for a while, but the fact that the day is finally coming. Alright, so oh right, that's looking at top on my MacBook Pro isn't going to help me because we're not actually on the MacBook Pro. It's like, huh, where are all my CPUs? That doesn't look like OpenBSD's top. Yeah, so this is the thing that I don't get. Like, notice that you have a whole bunch of idle, then it pegs out the processor while Clang++ is running, and then it's going to start idling again. Yep. Hey, JC. I hope things are going good for you. Like I said, I just basically, this is me basically working out my, I don't know why. It's catharsis, maybe? Question mark. Yeah, AMD64, ARM64. So yeah, it is possible to cross-compile it. I'm probably going to have to integrate the NetBSD compiler to make it work if I really want to try to revive the VAX port. That being, like, but this dive into the plumbing might be interesting. I think one of those next streams I'm going to do, Black Coffee Drinker and I have been trying to figure out a problem. My hope was to be able to run OpenBSD in the cloud, and we are... One of the things is I kind of want to do some OS development work, as I've mentioned, but one of the places I want to start with is fixing ATF failures. That's the automated test framework of NetBSD. I did finish the video. The video goes out to Patreons on Friday. That was my weekend. I think I did the first stream on Thursday. Yeah, I basically finished it on Sunday. I did the subtitles this morning. The thumbnail is done. It goes out next week. I don't know the exact when. It's either going to be Wednesday or Thursday. I'm going to be gone for 3 days, and then all of next week goes flying out the window. So I figured if I drop a video, hype for the next stream. I may be able to stream while I'm maybe able to stream, but if I am, I won't have my microphone with me, like the good one like this, and I don't sound great on AirPods. That being said, I could just do text-to-speech. Like, I tried that, and honestly, people seemed okay with it. When you run something on your Mac instead of the intended machine, is that a Maxident? Oh. I don't know. Like, I kind of see this as, it's interesting to see how far the ARM64 ecosystem has come. One of the biggest problems is that Linux was basically had complete dominance of ARM. NetBSD, OpenBSD. They had ARM ports, but they basically ran on nothing. Like, even now it's not great, but at least you can actually buy hardware. Like, for a long time, NetBSD didn't have support for the Pi, for the Raspberry Pi, or it had, like, support for the Pi 1. Yeah, they got support with the, with NetBSD 8, I believe. But, like, I gotta tell you, I just find that Linux has been going backwards. Like, the kernel itself is okay, but, like, I've really been finding... I don't think I would run OpenBSD. I've already found enough things about that, like how I don't know how to describe the sensation of using OpenBSD. Like, it's not the first time I've fired it up, but it seems very resistant to change. I'm running Mac OS, but we are just running SSH to my desktop. Um, and we're virtualizing everything. Yeah. This laptop needs to work. Being able to run a virtual machine on it was a bonus feature. I basically needed it to run Resolve. I never actually considered the possibility that I'd have to actually make content entirely on here. It was really just intended to be able to help me edit my I made it so I could edit videos while on the go, and I had always made the base assumption that if I had to do something with this machine alone, I could do it. I just didn't actually think I'd end up there, especially because I don't know when I'm going to have my desktop up and running full time again. And there's something that he said to be entirely laptop based for the time being. I mean, a lot of I remember there was a lot of hype when Ubuntu came out. I mean, what you see now for Elon Musk was a lot what you used to see for Ubuntu in its early days. You know, that large amount of Linux on the desktop shit. That's how I remember it anyway. Yeah, I spent a fair bit of money for this machine. I do not regret it. It's... My own personal experience is that this machine does not live up to the actual hype, but it does everything so well that I can really deal with the actual downside of the ARM processor. I would say that I have about, realistically speaking, this is probably about the same muscle-wise as an i5. It's just, it does everything else so much better, and more importantly, it has a GPU that doesn't suck, and doesn't suck with a usable battery life that makes the everything else work. But I did actually benchmark it, and this tops out at 8 million keys per second with the distributed.NET test. I get a lot more on Intel hardware. Now, granted, there is acceleration there, but I have found that this machine just... when I give it just a pure number crunching workload, it really falls short of where I would like it to be. I feel like I'm running like 2 generations back. But I also compute on a VAX, so why am I complaining? Yeah. Like, to Linus's credit, he's really, like, taking a fucking chill pill, and he's come forward and basically apologized for a lot of stuff. I still don't think I'd ever want to actually, like, deal with LKML. And realistically speaking, I haven't decided if I actually want to deal with all the fucking hassle that comes with getting involved with OS dev again. That being said, assuming that this isn't user error, which it entirely could be, and there is an actual performance issue on the ARM64 port of OpenBSD, which is also entirely possible. Like, I'm going to have to benchmark the damn thing, which does not, you know, I almost should do this on current instead, but the flip side here is I want to make sure I have a known good base, because I'm going to basically have to clone this VM load up current, and then I'm going to have to upgrade it to a snapshot, and then compile current on it, because that's what's going to require. That is going to suck. No, we are. We are building it on my desktop. We're cross compiling from AMD64 to ARM64. Look, I worked for Canonical, so it's like there's using Linux, and then I still have an @ubuntu.com email address, because I was actually an Ubuntu developer before I was hired by Canonical. So yeah, there's that. John Eggenholder, thank you for the $5 super chat. And if you enjoy this content, please like and subscribe. I just hit 40K subscribers, finally. It's been stuck in the 30s for like 39 for the last like 6 months. Like I said, the last video did very well with the people who like to watch my channel. The algorithm did not like it. I don't know why. It has all the hallmarks of a video that the algorithm does like. It has high watch time, high watch everything. I have sometimes seen the algorithm might take quite a long time before it starts pushing a video extensively. The Yggdrasil video was one that it took about 6 months before the algorithm finally took notice of. So, yep. So there we go. Yeah. Well, I mean, I do not disagree. So, a lot of money has been made to make Linux fast, but at this point, it's diminishing returns. macOS is going to be slower than both Linux and Windows. In fact, it's quite a bit slower, but you're still only talking about... I haven't benchmarked it in this decade, but historically it was about a 10 to 20% difference on the same hardware. Apple has done quite a bit on performance, but now that we're on ARM64, it's hard to compare it one-to-one with Intel stuff. I believe the OpenBSD devs have LLVM building through their build system. I don't believe it's using the upstream build system. I believe it has been BSD-fied. The part of the problems with macOS is that Mach is a garbage kernel, and its legacy has kind of lived on, even though at this point you can call macOS a ship of Theseus. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, it's... I have opinions about Mach, and I say this having... I'm still listed as an author of GNU Herd. Like, it's on Savannah if you actually want to check. But I am listed as an author. I wrote a random number generator for Mach. It was influential. Like, I don't know if I actually have enough engineering expertise to, like, write a PhD thesis on the damn thing. It was a very ambitious idea that had a little bit too high a price. Yeah. Like, if I really wanted to see what Mach was capable of, I would probably have to get alpha hardware and put it on True 64. because Next Step did so many weird and strange shit that I can't completely blame Next Step's performance problems on Mach. There is an argument to be made that a lot of it is Objective-C, which is part of why Apple's been pushing Swift so hard. If you want to see what Mach could potentially been, True64, I would say True64 is realistically would be the best bet to see what it could have been. But I do have some alpha hardware. I have an alpha PC in kit form that I never actually put together. Well, no, it's a little bit more than that. The original BSD code was considered to be portable, but it's not great. It's a lot easier to port Mach than it is to port Unix. L4 ended up in a bunch of Qualcomm shit. It ends up in a lot of RTOS stuff. It's just, you never see it front end, but it's in a lot of places. Minix would count. Minix is in every copy of the Intel management engine. QNXU would be a microkernel. The problem with Mach is Mach had the idea that you could make calls from user space as an unprivileged user, so it has to do full ACL to make that work. Essentially any user on a given Mach system can make a call of the Mach kernel requesting a socket to do X, Y, and Z. But to do that, you have to do full user authentication, which means it has to round trip through multiple layers of the microkernel. The fundamental design flaw in Mach is its IPC level is extremely heavy, and it can recurse upon itself for various reasons. It is the type of design that is only... I can completely see how you go into it and don't see this problem, because Mach was cutting edge when it came out. It was a research kernel. Research does not always lead to something good. Yeah, Mach's entire stick... well, this was Herd's stick. Apple fixed this, although they only fixed it so much. But Herd's entire stick was the IPC should be available from Ring 3. Yeah. Yeah, macOS... The problem you run with macOS is that Apple has absolutely no qualms on breaking compatibility, and I have just kind of resigned myself that every time Apple drops an update, I have to reinstall Homebrew, I have to reinstall ports. Like, I'm not even going to, like, pretend that that's not annoying. There is something to be said about a Linux distribution that I can apt-get just upgrade for the next 4 years without caring about it. But the flip side of it is Linux has the main traction. The biggest thing with Linux is that no one gets a particular advantage out of anyone else. So that's one of the main, that's why the GPL v2 is so business friendly, because no one, if you use Linux, you're not getting a plus on anyone else, and you might as well reduce your own maintenance burden by sending this stuff upstream. That's the quote unquote promise. I'm not sure how true it is in current year, but that's largely because Red Hat has taken... Red Hat, I believe... Well, I would say IBM these days is probably the single largest financer of Linux. You know what? Let me look that up. Because I'm actually curious. Oracle, apparently, is number one. All right, let's look at the actual... Oh, so the actual statistics by organization. By change set, Hawaii, Intel, then there's unknown and none, and then Red Hat in number 3. Beating out Google, AMD... Oof. Lenaro, there's a name I have not heard in a long time. When was this posted? This was for kernel development cycle 510, so this was 4 years ago. That doesn't surprise me, though. I haven't decided. I can't decide what Oracle has done. Like, I'm surprised they haven't actually buried Solaris yet. Maybe Oracle's been pushing Solaris for the database. I've always heard that Oracle DB has historically run the best on Solaris. But it's like, I don't know. They're probably hedging their bets, all things considered. Especially because Oracle was fairly, I don't want to say it was a Linux-friendly company, but they have a lot of customers that run on Linux. Yeah. I've always meant to check out AUX. I've played with it a few times, but I gotta tell you, like, if I could, I have to look into VPS options. I have to see if I can make NetBSD less shit in the cloud. But I gotta tell you, if I could not run Linux on a VPS, I would run one of the BSDs. I've already been in this mindset for a while, but my one attempt to run FreeBSD in the cloud did not end well. And FreeBSD to me has always felt a little bit throw it in. It has that feeling to it. Like, it doesn't feel as coherent as either OpenBSD or NetBSD. But maybe that's just my imagination. Yeah, QEMU's you've seen a lot of branches merged in. As far as I know, the only major ones you really need to care about, like Screamer, you still need in some cases, but in theory, Mac Audio should just work on Trunk. I haven't had much luck with the ARM64 emulation, and it's like, yeah. The problem with QEMU is that support comes and goes, especially when you're running something a little bit esoteric. Like, it's sort of like how MAME sometimes an emulation core bit rots out. I've experienced that with more than a few things in QEMU, rather notably Mac OS support. Oh, excuse me. Wow, chat. I don't think I truly appreciate how long this was going to take. I don't really feel like playing NetHack. Like, I am so mentally... Like, I really do actually want to do a profiling build, because when we were looking at this on the MacBook Pro, it was spinning. No, I think I just have to let this build, because I don't know if Theo has patched the compiler. I have my doubts that the OpenBSD devs really want to mess with Clang, because that just sounds like pain. But it's also entirely they have. CW, it's essentially a trade-off of what you care about. OpenBSD, I guess, goes for the most technically correct solution and sacrifices everything else for it. It's found a real niche in networking in recent years due to PF, but there are quite a few things that have been built over on OpenBSD. NetBSD's plan is to run on everything, and frankly, I've had the weird and stupid idea of trying to see, I think it's like, 67 ports, trying to run them all. Like, even in emulation, trying to run them all is going to be a challenge. Well, the BSDs were not particularly happy because they didn't want to have to deal with GPL v3. Um, like, they had to put up with it, but Clang was a nice, easy way out for them. Yeah. Yeah, AT&T is licensing there was an announced AUX4 that was supposed to come out for PowerPC that was supposed to be built on OSF 1, which means that was coming out of the DEC/compact thing, and that deal was probably still signed when DEC was DEC, and then DEC got compacted, and then Apple went looking for an operating system. Yeah. The FCC Amateur Radio Database, or sorry, the Universal Licensing System has a Sun OS favor icon on it. I'm going to stretch my legs for a bit just so I'm not just sitting at this desk. I'll be back in a little bit. Enjoy the music. All right. Legs stretched, feeling a bit better. It's like... Can you actually get those Windows dev kits? I keep seeing them mentioned, but I am so out of the news circuit, like... I don't know, it's like... The best way I can describe the sensation is I felt like I've been asleep for a very long time, and only now am I waking up. And I'm waking up from what I can only describe as my own personal hell, but it is getting better. Like... See, right now, though, I'm really trying to avoid accumulating anything. Like, I'm more likely to take, like, an old cell phone and hack it to run Linux, like, proper Linux, not Android. Because it's actually not that hard to do it most of the time. You just need a device that can be reflashed, and there's usually some discount devices you can do that with. Yeah. Yeah, the action pack I have considered for my own business for a couple of reasons, but again, money is a little bit tight at the moment, so I'm basically just... God, and... This May has not historically been a nice month for me because, you know, it's... I'm struggling a little bit with 36, which is going to be true very soon. But I also seems like I feel like I'm in a better place here than I was at 25, 10 years ago. And it's like I have to accept that I got a pretty raw deal in life. There's not a lot I can do about that. The best I can do is move forward and try and make what I can out of it. And in some ways, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get the last laugh. Celebrate starting V. Oh God. There's an idea. I haven't decided if I actually hate this idea enough to do it, but I could install a 36-bit architecture, System 390 stream. I could try installing ITS in SimH, but I'd have absolutely no idea what I'm actually doing. Like, I have looked at that because I had this weird idea of trying ChaosNet out, and I just stared at that. And then I walked backwards into the bushes. See, if we're going to do this, I will at least speak something that is mostly English. That is to say, I'll probably do something IBM, because at least when IBM stuff shits the bed, it will give you... I can find documentation. Oh God, Mythical Man Month, that book. Oh Lord. I'm like sitting here wondering, like, I'm hoping, my hope here is that perhaps in the next few months I will be able to find work. Maybe I'll find work with one of the BSDs, because God almighty, there's got to be a few people with the actual skill set. And there's probably some places that are BSD based that are going to need someone. I don't know. It's like... Oh, it was S360 that was 36-bit? Okay. Well, okay. So... Yeah, well, the fact of the matter, though, is that I could load up MVS, and I don't have to worry about IBM dropping a brick on me. Like, I don't know if Big Blue would actually send a cease and desist. Microsoft has done it a few times, although that's generally been in relation to the source code. I don't know if IBM would do it. I don't know if VSI would do it, which is the same reason I haven't done OpenVMS. Yeah. That being said, I have really had this stupid idea of seeing if I could get Mach86 to run on the VAX. I think that might be the end game goal after I get a handle on what this architecture is actually like to live with. Because at least with OpenBSD, I'm dealing with tools that are not as old as I am. If I actually try and do Mach86, I am going to be using a compiler that is actually older than I am. And there is no Googling for help when you are using tools of a certain vintage. They are like, the problem is I would need a VAX license. Well, no, I would actually have to port the damn thing. It will not run on the MicroVAX as is. I would have to, at a minimum, I would have to extend the bootloader, and I would have to extend the Mach kernel itself, and that's just to get it to start. The reason that this has an interesting possibility is there was one thing that DEC invented once and never well, I shouldn't say invented. They licensed exactly one chip from AMD, the Lance Ethernet NIC, which has been, or the PCNet NIC, which has been in everything since time eternal. This driver, this is like one of the most common chipsets known anywhere. I should have a 1980s version of this driver that works on a 1990s MicroVAX. And if not, writing an Ethernet driver is a considerably less nightmarish proposal than writing a SCSI stack. Or at least enough as, or faking a SCSI stack. Yep. You can barely hear me? Hold on. Testing. Yeah, I can make it a bit louder. Testing, testing, test. There we go. All right, and I can make the background music a bit louder. Okay, chat. If I'm quiet like that, please let me know. I have to record at a very low volume because I have too much ambient background noise during the day here. And I just boost it up when I do the videos. But on the streams, I don't always remember to turn the mic up. Especially if I'm just kind of YOLOing it, which is... I just realized I didn't have okay. Well, to show you how little how much I just kind of sent this stream... I forgot to turn monetization on because it does not get turned on by default. So no one's been getting ads, and I guess, yay. Sorry. Like, I shouldn't be saying, sorry, you are now getting ads, but it does mean I get to eat. It is, to be honest, I really am hoping to grow the channel revenue to the point that I can live off it. The absolute minimum, I'm about halfway there. If I can grow it to, if I can basically get this in part-time work, or even some contract work, I will be financially independent. I won't have like I will not be struggling nearly as badly as I am now. And given that I have had a massive turnaround on my health, I don't know if I really want to work Linux again, but I'm hoping I can find something. If not, I'm hoping people will just throw money at me to make something better. Like, I did set up sponsorships on GitHub. Maybe people just throw stuff at me on YouTube. Like I said, I don't really need that much to be a happy person. I just need enough to live off of, and it's not a high number. Like, all things considered, it's not a high number. Failing that, when I really start feeling the pain, I will probably be... Well, I'll worry about that bridge when I get to it, but because if I get to that point, then my plans have completely gone off the rails. Jim Hyber, I have a Patreon for tiers up to $64. I've added more as people have asked for higher tiers. Or yeah, premium views do actually count. I don't know how much they totally count because YouTube doesn't tell me the actual breakdown. It just tells me that 40% of, like, it depends on the actual source, but like anywhere between 20 to 40% of my monetization comes from YouTube premium revenue. And chat told me that Twitch no longer has exclusivity clauses for their partner program. So I am looking, I don't know when I'm actually going to do it because I have to have good upstream bandwidth for it, or I have to set up restream, which is effort, but I can do it. I might also start streaming on Twitch because I could get Prime subs, but I have to get the channel up. I have to get my Twitch channel up to affiliate. So that's a low-hanging thing to do in the near future. I meant to do it tonight, and it completely slipped my brain. I just threw the stream up, and it's like, well, whatever. We're still in LLVM. Yeah. Well, this isn't we're not building on a MacBook. We're building on my desktop. It's not it's an ARM64 MacBook. We're doing we're just doing cross tools because I need the cross compiler. I need to build a profile. It is so slow that I can't build sys on the MacBook itself. It's Glacier. It is incredibly Glacier. So I need to build a profile in kernel. I need to see where the get up and go has got up and went to. Yeah, the Ryzen is going burr. I have no easy way of showing the host system, but yeah. Yeah. CC cache has its uses. The biggest use of CC cache is when you're doing a lot of rebuilds on relatively pathetic hardware. J64 would not help me here. We are basically pegging this system. I could possibly give it more virtual cores, but I don't think it would help. Like, I could throw more processors at it. I mean, I can hear the host. Actually, you know what? Let me look at the host system. I'll tell you. I'm gonna look in. I'll look in Task Manager right now and see how pegged out we currently are. We are at 70% utilization on the main host, so I could actually get quite a bit more out of this. All right, you know what? Let's actually do that. I'm going to halt. Let's Control C, and let's halt, because we can actually get more performance out of this. Like, all right, operating systems. Yeah, I love how it doesn't even turn off the operating system. All right, let's turn off. Hyper-V Manager. All right, let's see. Let's give it... you know what? I'm not streaming on this computer. I can give it all 12 virtual processors. That's what the host system has. I don't care. Because I'm not, like I said, I'm not running the stream off this. So, wait for it to come back. Okay, now it's got... I'm watching... It's got all 12 processors on its message. Starting up. Okay. So now we go to top. You'll notice that we only have processors 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. And also we have a lot of spin lock. That's a lot of spin lock. Okay, how do I try? So let me go sudo password. Is it system control sys? And then we go to top. And now we have 12 CPUs, and it's a lot happier. Yeah, that should probably be a pretty big improvement. Because this is probably, let's see here, how much of the everything are you using? That is a lot of the everything. "12 CPUs. You know, let's see if we can get H-top. Like, let's see if we can make this pretty. Assuming H-top works on OpenBSD. All right, let me look at the host system and see how it's faring. Host utilization is now 100% on the host. I probably should be 2 less CPU cores, but this is fine. We are now going at... The host system is now throttled up to 3.9 gigahertz. Oh, that's right. I overclocked the host. It should be okay. I haven't run the system flat out in a while, but it was fine the last time I did it. It didn't go down in flames. Oh, maybe, did I? Yeah, I think I have it slightly overclocked, or at least have it in the performance configuration in BIOS. I don't think I adjusted I didn't adjust voltages. I'm not that insane. Yeah, I can actually hear the fan from across the room. Speed and power. Vroom. Okay, yeah. Now that puts it in context. I like how it's all in you. Like when we were watching this on OpenBSD, it was all in kernel space. Say a process to real time in Windows. I don't have to worry about OBS. This machine is running uninhibited. Vroom vroom. Like I need like angry. Oh god, if I start channeling Clarkson energy, just no. The Hammond, you idiot, is when you buy. Well, you know, in 2020, buying a Ryzen was probably the right call because Intel i9 was a SAD. It still kind of is a SAD. This is... No, you know what this is? This is the budget supercar Maserati. This was my poor life investment. This desktop rig literally was built with my COVID stimulus check. The only thing I've switched out is the GPU. So you are seeing my COVID money at work building OpenBSD. So this is what they were saying, that people were still holding on to that. It's Cave Johnson with a car. Oh. No. I bought a Toyota. My car works. I say that having gone to the mechanic in the last week. I mean, yeah, I mean, this was literally what my COVID stimulus check was used for. It was to build a computer to build... okay, I admittedly was going to do Minecraft Let's Play because I had no idea what to fucking do. Look, all the processing gauge. Like, what's it doing now? Oh, look, it's linking. It's linking. It's had some aftermarket work done. Let's just leave it at that. Let's just leave it at that. No, it's just linking. Minecraft Let's Play on a VAX. It would entirely boil down to the possibility if you could get OpenJDK 0 to run. I don't think the JRE is going to be happy with non-triple-E floating point. Like, I just can't see that working. Look, I ran distributed.net on a VAX, and this VAX. This is not a fast VAX. This is a 1980s VAX. Look, I'm not completely sure that NetHack will run. Like, I am not sure that NetHack would run on... It probably will. I just imagine it having problems on the Sanctum or a couple of monster heavy levels. But it should still be playable. It's a turn-based game. Running net, I mean, the original, wasn't the original hack for a PDP-11? Like, I believe the original, yeah, hack was originally for PDP-11 as a clone of Rogue. It was then ported to DAWs, and then it became Andreas Brauer's hack, and then that became NetHack. Because it was distributed on net.sources. I mean, let's be honest, you could technically speedrun NetHack on a VAX because the speedrun is determined by the number of turns. Like, but let's be honest, Super Mario Bros. Speedrunning has gone to the human limits of trying to save individual frames on a 6502. Well, it has 32 megabytes of memory. It's not going to be fast, but it should work. Yep. I mean, here's the thing is, how many people would actually play NetHack on a VAX if I put it on the internet? Water Pearl, I ran into that. I discovered that is a thing. Like, you have to appreciate the level of crash and burn this got to. Mm-hmm. So I need to figure out, the thing is I have to do like actual networking to make that work, and that's a scary amount of effort. At least I just get to basically kind of just sit here on my ass and watch this stream. It's remarkably therapeutic. I'm not building full system, I'm just building the compiler. Like, it should not... I'm just building sys. I don't need the full user land. If it's going to take a few hours to build the full, still build Clang, then so be it. But, oh well. Like I said, I'm managing as best I can. Well, I mean, here's what, here's the thought that I had is one of the biggest things that I've heard about DAC was the Unix versus VMS crew, and I'm just kind of sitting here in 2024, and I'm thinking the Unix that we can't the sparkling Unix like called NetBSD is the one true operating system for the VAX, because it's still supported in 2024, and there's something about that just seems beautiful to me. Like the NetBSD flag, it's actually directly inspired by the old logo was the BSD daemons raising the flag on a bunch of computers. And it was directly referencing the World War II Iwo Jima photo. And let's put it like this. I completely understand why they changed it, but that is what the flag references. And I kind of like that. I find it appropriate. Mm-hmm. I've had some real problems with cool retro term, to the point that when I have to actually start changing the code, as to say I can no longer be asked to just work around the problems, I will start my own fork. I really just don't have this soul to maintain a fork right now. See, I don't do that. Even before my professional career burst into flames and caught fire, I didn't do that much coding. Most of my career was making other people's shit actually work. Like, the hopes and dreams, the easiest thing you could say is I've mostly done integration work. I can make a lot of different systems talk to each other and not blow their brains out. I don't know why I'm so good at it, but hey, look, we're running LD. Yeah, it's still gonna take a while. Yeah, I mean, the problem is I feel like the Linux kernel is going that way. Like the kernel itself is, oh, sorry, I should say the kernel itself. The kernel itself is more or less okay, although I feel like it's becoming alarmingly bloated. Although that is a claim that a lot of people have made over the years. Yeah. If you want to see a code base that's evolved, just look inside NetHack's code. Firefighting was less stressful than working at my job. Being set on fire was a relief to the day-to-day stress. We're literally watching Digital Paint try. It's like, I did spend a little time looking at what reviving the VAX port's actually going to involve. I haven't decided if I'm actually insane enough to try this. Like, I might have to use CVS, which fucking sucks. There are some serious like the Git import was not perfect. Yep. Like, I don't know, like, at this point, I am trying to figure out what I can possibly do to actually earn money. Like, I've been sleeping a lot better as of late than I have in a long time, but I can't count on that to stay as is, and realistically speaking, like, it's kind of why I want to see if I can actually do something like get OpenBSD running on VAX again. If nothing else, I think it'd be funny but it would also be a real case study in seeing how far I can actually take that. My long-term goal is I want to port an operating system to a major architecture. I've had the idea of trying to get Darwin running on my next station. The toolchain is not going to be the problem on this one. I would literally have to port Mach though. But I also think I could do it. At this point, I'm pretty sure I know that code well enough. But I don't know Motorola 680XO. Testing this with the VAX port where I at least have the source code to it makes it easier though. And I would have the NetBSD Next 68X port as source code reference. So at least I would have an idea of what the finished picture is supposed to look like. Well, no, that's just me, something I want to do. That's not going to get me paid, but it also puts stuff on my resume as doing operating system development, because that's how I got my foot in the door at Canonical to begin with. I was a Debian developer, and I was a Debian developer for the Motorola 680XO port, even though I never owned a vintage Macintosh. I did it all on emulators. That is where it started for me. So this is essentially going back to where it all began, except this time I've got 15 years of experience on top of that. Like, I have not let my skills atrophy. It's just, there isn't a lot of demand for a systems engineer. Most of them are at major companies. That said, there's also a fair bit of embedded and one-off work where I'm pretty sure I can get hired as long as I show something in the relevant field. RTOS folks are... I've managed to land RTOS jobs before, mostly by having stuff that's largely in the right ballpark. The code standard in the kernel, like, there are some places where I know the code is just garbage. The Linux NE2000 driver, a lot of what ended up in the kernel is stuff that just worked, but it's a lot better in places where there's been a lot of corporate money thrown at it, but I'm really trying to sum up my feelings for it, because I haven't been paying attention that much in kernel space, but I have really, especially going through the vintage stuff, it's like Linux wasn't great in the 90s and 2000s despite what everyone was saying. And I can say that pretty objectively, because at this point now I've actually run the competition. Just see Debian 2.1 versus AIX. AIX was a considerably saner system. Yeah, I mean, that's the other part, is that bare metal has basically disappeared and it's all becoming cloud-based. I have a fair bit of virtualization experience in my tool chest. What I suspect, the thing is that the kernel itself is basically, we're basically seeing Android becoming the main driving factor for Linux these days, but a lot of the Android stuff is on the Google tree. It's not on the Linux tree. So I don't know. It's like, I am not happy joy about what Linux is these days. It hasn't been good for a long extended period. In the cloud, I still like it better than Windows, but that is a very large caveat. I realistically wonder if I could find people that would simply be interested in getting one of the BSDs to not be complete rubbish on VPSs. OpenBSD is sort of not terrible. NetBSD used to work decently in Zen, but doesn't anymore. You'd realistically have to get it to run on ext4, is what it would ultimately require to be a drop-in replacement for Linux VPS providers, because then it works with the integrated upgrade system. You can like with Linode, if you can get FreeBSD to run, but you can't run the backup service, you can't use the shutdown service, the network service does not work. So if you had a way that you could interface those things, or even just create your own startup, lease the hardware and make OpenBSD, NetBSD, FreeBSD available in the cloud with small ARM modifications. Yeah, AWS does support FreeBSD, but it's AWS. You are going to pay for the nose for that. Yeah, I mean, Azure, and the problem I have with Azure is that you're going to pay for the nose for basically all of it. Azure for a lot of companies is like using a nuclear bug swatter for a fly. NetBSD builds EC2 images. You know, that doesn't surprise me as much as as it should. Let me rephrase. Maybe I should rephrase my claim. I have not seen great BSD support. Apparently, it is better than I have thought. But like, I also try to imagine. Linode has been my go-to provider for a number of years at this point. And every time I've looked at even like the micro tier of AWS, I feel like I'm going to spend a lot more money here by accident. Yeah. I've been trying to see if I can find a good cloud solution for running OBS, but I think I would just pay for the nose to rent a cloud GPU, so that ain't happening. It looks like my build images ARM64 cloud, Oracle Cloud as well. That is fascinating. I did not know that. That's by design with AWS. Yeah, I mean, right now, my cloud needs are not terrible. The only thing that I'm currently hosting in the cloud is the Mastodon server, and I gotta be honest, running Mastodon is a pain. I'm not happy about it. I don't really want to be on a public instance because you're subject to... Let me put it like this. I've heard enough horror stories of being on Mastodon.social. SDF's node is known to be slow. There's a few other ones, but it's like... I did a bunch of work with Think in the early days of Mac OS, because I had a MacBook at school. So, like... Yeah. Yeah, Mastodon has not made me a happy, joy person. I really have not been a fan of... I have not... The Fediverse is just kind of... It's done a lot of helping me not use social media mindlessly. Let me put it like this. The lack of algorithm is wonderful for that. And let's be honest, being on X is... I mostly use Twitter to help promote YouTube and to follow a few people, but being on Fetty, it's like, okay. I feel like it's an obligation just because I'm a content creator. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it, and realistically speaking, if the Fetty server ever becomes more trouble, gives me serious trouble, I have a healthy degree of apathy about the whole damn thing. Like, from where I'm looking right now, YouTube is one of the few things that is kind of going in my life, and it's a semi-steady paycheck that will follow me wherever I go. So... Sorry, I just having a kind of a sort of thing in Yeah, I don't think OpenBSD has containerization. It's missing a lot of things that it feels very 1990s operating system, and it feels very comfortable in that role. Like I said, I walked away from OpenBSD, like, and the end result of that was, I want to use this on more projects. This feels nice and coherent, and I can patch it easily. And OpenBSD has been, screw you, install this, and I'm going to make it a pain to build current. You basically have to be dog fooding if you want to be running the latest and greatest. And it's like, ugh. NetBSD, NetBSD doesn't have any, it's just a solid workhorse. It doesn't have anything new and shiny about it, but I very much appreciate a solid platform. Like, I very much see myself using OpenBSD at some point in the future. For what, I don't know, but I see myself using it. Like, one of the things that I really have thought about doing is building a Raspberry Pi project, and the idea of having to deal with Raspbian and, well, I should say a Pi project, but a Linux project, dealing with everything that goes with Linux is like joy. But the idea of doing it as build it into the NetBSD base system and then have it as a RAM disk that I can just compile and then rebase, that sounds a lot less painful, all things considered. I would have to try out FreeBSD. I have not historically had good experiences with FreeBSD, and I'm not, even though it's kind of where I started, it was the first non-Windows operating system I ran besides Mac OS. I can't give you an explanation to it. It just... I mean, I'm just going to have to sit down and do something with it. And I feel like the OpenBSD project is I'm going to make it run on VAX. OpenBSD 6 on VAX should not be terribly difficult. It's just one release forward. I don't know if I'll go all the way to 7, but if I at least can get 6, I'll get an idea of what it would actually take. I am personally of the opinion that jails... I had some experience with jails when I was dealing with Illumos, and it was like, okay, question mark? It took me a while to see where it would actually be useful, and even then, you still have to figure out things like crossbar. If I want to do jails on FreeBSD, I believe FreeBSD also uses crossbar, but still. Yeah, I was unhappy about the systemd decision myself, and there was a lot of... Let's just say there was a lot of angry typing about that decision, not just from myself. I guess that's true. I think one of the things that I appreciate is the fact that the NetBSD... One of the things that appeals to me about NetBSD is the fact that it runs on damn near anything. I don't know if that... And that just, like... I've always liked NetBSD when I've run it, even though it has no... It doesn't stand out from the pack. Raspberry Pi, I at least understand because it is cost overall and Broadcom. That is how Broadcom devices work. Qualcomm is actually worse because at least on a Pi you have control of the instruction pointer as it comes out of reset. On the Qualcomm Android devices, you don't even have that. You have the radio processor controlling your every move. Yeah, that's kind of how my feeling on NetBSD is. I vaguely wonder how hard it would be to get to have AX25 support, but I'd probably have to write the stack from scratch because the Linux one is GPL v2. Pi doesn't have SPI Flash. It boots its firmware off the micro SD card through memory mapped as a... No, it does have a very small SPI-NOR that just basically... It just yeets a memory image into memory and executes it. NetBSD, like FreeBSD, it's... I just don't like it as... like, every time I've installed it, I find it just rubs me wrong, and I don't know why. Okay, so... I guess with FreeBSD, yeah, I mean... The biggest win is that the BSDs have had the better network stack because it is the original BSD 4.3 one that is one of the most battle-tested ones. Is it done building I think it's done building LVM. I have tried Alpine Linux. I have tried Alpine. Muscle C is a fascinating beast. Yeah, I think this is done. It's installing Clang. Oh, God. If I did one of the earliest ARM ports of Tiano Core, I got it running in KVM. My port was replaced with one that was less horrible, but yeah. Excuse me. Cool. Alright, so next we have to build cross-sys. This will make getting the VAX port. Basically, I'm going to have to get it to I'm going to have to get the OpenBSD build system to take the NetBSD VAX compiler. That didn't look terrible, when I looked. Yeah. I used Alpine C when I built my own VPN server, but AWOL was... I have never had a good experience with Linux as a router. I've always gotten it to work, but I have felt miserable every time I've had to deal with it. Like, it just fails and does not make sense on why it fails. Alright, I'll be back in a moment. Still going. Oh man, my legs. I am stiff just from going up and down the stairs so many times. Oh. I'm just gonna sit on the couch. I'm here. Alright, where are we building now? We are building... Oh, we're building libc, so it's building the base of the chroot. Basically the stuff that's needed to actually cross-compile. I don't get any warnings from YouTube, so it may be on your end. Try lowering the bit rate down to 480p or similar. Or is it other people? Wait, hold on. Oh, you know what it is? It's probably because I'm on low latency and my internet is just a little bit shit. Oh, like, it's not super shit, but I'm also on Wi-Fi, because for some reason my USB-C Ethernet hub will just not work. Yeah, I just let it stay behind a little bit, because RTMP will drift. It's just how it works. So unless yeah, it's the best I can do for right now. Yeah, also do note that the way you need to determine if it's stalled is if the second hand, which I just realized you may not actually be able to see, there's a second corner in the corner of the window, which the N logo may be covering up. Let me see here. Can I turn off the watermark easily? I think that's a channel-wide setting. Yeah, apparently I can't. Yeah, I will work on it going forward, but the fact of the matter is this internet will no longer exist in the not so near future. Well, in the near future. Wow, brain, work with me. Yep. We're on East Coast. Now it's building OpenBSD. I'm assuming it's going to build most of the user land. There's not a lot I can do about that. No, Seabass apologist, North Coast, best coast. I like my sun. I like seeing the ocean to the north. So much BSD, so much WoW. It's interesting watching how, like, I threw the stream up. No, Ontario would be the same time zone. Ontario's directly north from here. Well, Ontario and Quebec, but yeah. I would think Canada would be on the same daylight savings. Yeah, Atlantic Canada is its own time zone, but Atlantic Canada is east from here. I've been out there. You have to go past Maine. That's New Brunswick and... no, I believe... Is the line in New Brunswick? Maybe it is New Brunswick, but New Brunswick is... You're still going as far out as Maine. Yeah, Atlantic Canada. The Newfoundland has a half-hour time difference from the mainland. And then St. Pierre and Monique is UTC -3. Yeah. So now we're waiting for OpenSSL to build. So why don't we put on HTOP Vision? There we go. How are we doing? We are still completely pegged out. I'm assuming we're still in OpenSSL. No, we're in libedit because libreadline is needed a BSD license. It might build the entire userland, unfortunately. I don't know how much it's actually going to build. I'm just kind of laying on the couch because I hurt. So libm, so it's handling all the math code. That's fine. That's where I expect to have to do most of the changes. But I also wonder how many map functions FIO realistically, like OpenBSD does. I should not be referring to FIO in singular because OpenBSD has a lot of other developers. He's the head guy. And it's not like you blame Linus for everyone. So let's be fair. Yeah, Zulu is a completely valid way of handling it. Trying to handle leap seconds sucks. But the real answer is don't roll your own time code. It's always a mistake. Like, the fact of the matter is, at the end of the day, Linus Torvald, Theodorant, they're all people. A fair number of the names on the regulars on the Linux kernel mailing list I have met in real life, because you can go to Plumbers if you want to meet Linus Torvald. Just make sure you can hold a conversation about the kernel. Yeah. Honestly, I find Google's approach to time smearing to be probably the least bad. Google's approach to handling leap seconds is to just make a second slightly longer and average it into the course of a day. That doesn't work in cases where you have real-time problems, but for pretty much anything, that is a good enough approach. Yeah, but the fact of the matter is I'm not going to try and get in Linus's face and be a dick. Let's be honest. If I'm going to be talking about a kernel topic, and let's be clear here, I don't do kernel development for a living. I have not touched kernel development. I've always been a dangerous hobbyist. Most of my work professionally was bootloader stuff. Hey, look, it's done. Now we can do cross-sys and actually get a kernel. This should not take that long. Like, when I was active in doing ARM work, a lot of what I ended up doing was basically trying to advocate for having a actual boot standard. I was involved with some of the very early work in what would become the server start specification. That was coming up right as I was kind of clocking out and getting ready to move on with my career. But that isn't the kernel's problem in which to solve. That is everyone trying to agree on a standard on how these ARM boards should do, and ARM itself basically... just did not seem like there was any interest in trying to solve the problem. Everyone recognized that it was a problem, but there was just no interest in trying to solve it. Like, Microsoft themselves, where did it actually put the kernel? Like, did it actually build a kernel? I assume it built a kernel. I guess it's in user cross. Oh, there's sys. There's the bootloader. No, I didn't. No, I ran cross sys, unless that's not the target. That may not be the target. Sys was the target in NetBSD. It's possible. We have cross tools, cross bin, cross share, cross sys. This is the kernel. So where is it actually installing the kernel to then? I actually have to send this to a log file because screen is being stupid. I need to remember how to... I have to look up the option in screen to make the scroll back thing huge. I hate that I have to run screen in BioBoo, but it's the most elegant solution I have actually found for multiplexing my terminal. I should say elegant. I should say it works. So there's the EFI boot stub. There's the stand stub, which is just the manual page. It looks like it just built a bunch of firmware? That can't be right. Alright, there's got to be a different target than that builds the freaking kernel. User source make object. Yeah, blah blah blah. You want to set up cross build environment, cross GCC, cross distrib, as well as binaries for a given target. So what does cross distrib actually build? Make file cross distrib builds cross tools, cross bin, cross share, cross sys, ectru var. I guess I could let it build the rest of the base system. It's not like it's going to be take that long at this point. Clang would have been the worst part. You gotta appreciate how simple this build system is, even though it's remarkably fragile as an end result. So yeah, no, it goes into export machine, machine arch, machine CPU. It goes into sys, and then it runs make install. Is the kernel... Here it was object sys arch So that all just basically gets built normally. ARM64 machine Arch H64. Okay. Like, that gets built. You know, I should just install Vim, because I'm going to just keep doing that. I guess that's fine. No, you know, I don't actually want X, so I just want to go number 6 here. That's actually really nice that you had, you know, the way you can have the ambiguous no X one. Like, I feel like that's handled a lot better than it's handled under Debian. Like, yeah. All right. So the makefile, if we look at makefile cross, hey, look, syntax highlighting. All right, it's the Arch is ARM64. It builds the crossover folder. Yeah, because it was target ARM64, target Arch ARM64, which is correct. Why do I have this feeling this build process is broken? Like, I'm not surprised that this probably doesn't get tested very often. Like, it really comes down to if any of the OpenBSD developers are using ARM64. Like, I can entirely see that this gets ported once and it's not getting tested regularly or daily, or no one's testing it in UTM, they're not daily driving it. Target ARM64, ARM64. Cross sys. I could just try running cross distrib, but I should have a kernel. No? Like, where is it putting the object files? Here it is, cross object, which I guess it's not actually using. Where was that ARM64 directory? Nope, sorry. like, if nothing else, it's helping me get back into actually doing some actual dev work. Whether it, like, successfully does anything beyond that. Okay, so it goes to cross. Oh, I see where it ended up. So cross ARM64 user object sys arch ARM64 no kernel. Oh, there is a kernel. Or there appears to be. Compile. The kernel is called BSD. Yeah, it should be called. I'm looking for something like called BSD. I don't think it's trying to build the kernel. But let's see. Let's go user object sys. And let's just, you know, like, I'm hesitant to actually run the clean command because I don't want to delete the compiler. That would be obnoxious. Like, yeah, let me see if, hold on, you know what, there's an easy way to see if it's, like, built any of the kernel. Let's just see what it's actually built. Yeah, it looks like it only built the EFI boot thing. It didn't actually build the kernel. Why? Why did it not try and build the kernel? You know what? I think the easiest solution here is I'm going to just let it build more of the base system and make the assumption that I am just not smart enough for this build system. If that doesn't work, then I will hit it with a bigger stick. So if I want to just build the... You can't build a release, you can't cross-compile a release, but you can do this, the cross-distrib. Oh, you know, it's probably because I closed the, yeah, I've closed the terminal. So, make file cross target ARM64 cross distrib. Vroom. I don't know if that's going to actually, like, do anything. I can hope. Well, we're on AMD64. I'm just trying to get this to build. It's also giving me an idea if what reviving the VAX port might look like. Yeah, I am, the thing is that I have too much sense to buy a pickup truck. Especially a lifted pickup truck. Like, I don't know what else to say. I have too much sense to do that. Yes, but uninhibited self-inflicted mental anguish gets clicks on YouTube. Like, if they wanted just to have a segment that would be funny, have Hammond park a pickup truck in downtown London. I'm just, because I have been having I've know what it takes to park an SUV, a crossover SUV in New York City, which is a comparable experience. I have done it. It is probably the worst thing you could ever ask someone in a car to do. And then somehow a pickup is just worse in every imaginable way, because you won't be able to see the smart car behind you over the back of your pickup truck. So you don't know if you're about to crush it. Like, I could just see Hammond backing up in a lifted pickup truck. No, that was Clarkson that did it with the Hilux. Oh god, that sentence. I'm sorry, chat, that sentence. I'm so sorry. To be fair, I don't think I would like life if I owned a smart car. My Prius has proven to be a handful, but the Prius is small enough that I've been able to fit it. That street parking has been surprisingly painless. I've had some indigestion with it, but it hasn't been bad. I don't know. Top Gear has convinced, between that and Hoovie's Garage, it's convinced me never to have a supercar. Like, just buy something small and practical, and your life will thank you for it. No, I think the thing that the one that completely, it was the it was the South American special where they got run out of Ushuaia. It's incidentally where I actually want to go, but the Lotus Esprit was probably the single most questionable car choice. Well, that or the Crosby. The Crosby on the most recent special, I was like, at least they had an explanation for the joke. I do hope I will make it to Tierra del Fuego, just to visit, just be on the end of the highway. Yeah, it's... If you ever want... Well, a lot of it's going to boil down to how the rest of this year goes. If this year goes the way I hope it... I'm expecting to do a lot of driving the latter half of this year for things that, and like I said, I am slowly documenting this out on Patreon, just because my life has been such utter chaos right now that I don't think I could sit down, write down, and make it all make sense, and I could certainly not do justice to it. So I'm basically writing my day-to-day life with the expectation that at some point I will get everyone up to speed. This is sort of what the season 1 video was, but it kind of missed the mark because I was dealing with the aftermath of... I described this in the last stream, but I had some, shall we say, I had some experiences that defy rational explanation, and part of it's been dealing with the fallout of that, for better or worse. And that is something I do wish to talk about at some point, but it's not something I can talk about and make sense without the context, and even then, I don't know if it would make sense for anyone but me, but it may make sense to someone else. I know it's made sense. The explanation I've given to others has made sense, but for someone who doesn't actually know me in real life, the people that are watching on YouTube, for instance, you would have to know certain aspects of my life that are not immediately evident through the camera. I just had an incredibly cursed thought of running BGP on a VAX, and I'm like, no brain, bad, don't make me get the newspaper. I mean, at least we know the cross-compiler works. So the absolute worst case scenario here is I just have to smack the make files until I can figure out how to build the kernel. It should not be quote-unquote terrible. I've also had this stupid stream idea of trying to run all... I think I said that earlier, of trying to run all the NetBSD ports, but I think I'm just looping. I just think I'm looping. No, the thing is that I am comfortable in my role as with being a squeaky toy for life, because that sums up a lot of my life, and I'm okay with this. You know, as long as I have some control, I'm okay with this. Because let's be honest, most people here are just watching me because let's be clear of this. We are all watching a text terminal. You are listening to my voice. We are using 1080p bandwidth to transmit text and sound. This is a very expensive... This is the stream itself is gloriously inefficient as compared to the actual medium as it's being reported, because we are even using OpenGL effects to emulate a CRT. I really need to get like a hard drive sound emulator. It would be, oh god, it would be like Airplane. See, I just don't want to go into YouTube and punch up MFM hard drive sound, because I feel like I'd get a content ID strike if I did that. Or, well, I wouldn't get a strike, but I'd get a content ID thing. All right, let me see if I can find some actual, like, just... I hate to just, like, look and try and find a video that says, hard drive noise, you know what, like, hold on. Hard drive noise sound maker. There's gotta be something like this that exists. That's the hard drive clicker, but I just want a recording of a hard drive. I found a Python script that emulates hard drive sounds with PySound and Pygame and PS utilities. Oh, it's done compiling. I don't think it built the kernel. I don't think it built the kernel at all. No, because apparently the last step it did was actually build... All right, let's look at this make file and just see what's going on here. That make file is useless. Okay. Well, it's not useless, but what? All right, hold on. So I built the system earlier, and when I build system earlier, I would like the rest of the kernel. Does the kernel have like its own build doohickey? Yes, that's the technical term, and I'm standing with it. Build doohickey. Okay, so there's Arch ARM64. There's a make file here. So kernel file generic MP. Keep kernels clear, subdirectory stand, subdirectory compile. So generic, and that leads us here. I'm assuming I have to do something. Do I just type make? No, yes, I don't feel smart enough for this. I think that's just building it. Yeah, that's just building it, not cross-compiling it. Can I do make target ARM64? Doesn't seem to do anything. It has to be possible to cross-compile this kernel. Like, there's no way. Let's see if there's anything on chat. Make build kernel config. Okay, so, but I want to cross-compile, which doesn't help. Also, I don't want to be build clang, build, let's see here, cross sys. So when you do cross sys, it evaluates to the local sys folder, and it runs all and install. All right, hold on. Let me look at the guide of how you actually build a new kernel in NetBSD. Build new or OpenBSD kernel. Build from source, example, blah, 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 blah. Set up your system, use a MFS, blah, blah, blah. Forgot to make object before make build. Signal 11. Can I cross compile? Yeah, I mean, the cross compiling is not supported by the devs. This is if I'm going to do it, I'm on my own. Here we go. Building a custom kernel. So only the generic and generic MP kernels are supported by the OpenBSD team. Generic kernels, object, blah, blah, blah. Generic kernel. So there's a invoking config. O file, separate kernel file. So there's this config utility. Build compilation. Okay, so apparently this is how you actually build a kernel. Is you have to run config on. So I'm assuming then I have to do something like sys arch ARM64 config. And then I need to do config generic. And then compile generic make. That almost worked. Like, if I go into here, like, that feels like that almost worked. I'm just missing a step. Config. There's probably some sort of like argument to tell it which. Let's see, let me look at config. Create build directory, build profiling code, because that's what we need to do in the end. But I just want to make sure I can build the damn thing. Kernel modifications, override kernel building, specifies mean architecture option, BSD root, debug kernel, kernel modification. All right, OpenBSD cross build tips. First build. Okay, build directory. So, yeah, okay, so the kernel build actually does require like a whole bunch of somewhat irritating things to actually do. Okay, so user source. So I have to do config build user cross. Let's see here, ARM64. Yeah, hold on. That doesn't seem to be right. There's got to be a less terrible way to do this. Probably isn't, but... Alright, so it says here on the guide that I'm looking at, we need to put this in the cross ARM user object, user object. So this is object folder, and then the kernel object folder, I'm not convinced this is actually going to work, but we will try. That didn't quite work. Of course not. Not directory. I guess make that a full path. I probably should look at chat because someone's probably yelling at me, but... Okay. Better. Target AMD. Okay, so there's a whole bunch of... cross build, first set build, make release, cross env. Kernel object directory, like so. Is there something here that, if I look at make file cross... I guess I need to run that one, because it says here I need to basically run eval export. Yeah, wow, this is surprisingly... This script feels a little convoluted, but it also feels surprisingly close to what I probably have to do for real. Yeah, because you need to basically have all these variables exist. Oh. Does that work? Nope. Target is the machine, cross-dir. Default RIN, cross-dir RIN in cross-make file is misguiding. Like, these are very loose notes that I'm looking here. It's just a gist RIN on GitHub. So, cross-dir... Cross-canon... Yeah, because that creates the cross environment, which has all... Okay, so hold on. If I do make cross... If I do make make file cross... target ARM64 cross environment. Okay, so I get this... Does this get exported? It doesn't get exported to the host environment. But you know what? I can just print this out like that, and then I can source it. Okay, not quite. You know what? I can just do... you know what? I think I can just do source... Does that not work on this version? Alright, hold on. Let me jump into Bash. Because then I can do something like this. Wait, do I have an actual binary file in here? Like, what is that? I don't want to know how I created that. How did I do that, chat? Look, it's even above the dot. That, chat, I broke something. I broke something. How the... yeah, no, the top level folder is fine. I'm assuming it's not supposed to do that. Okay, so I've got basically the everything I need right here. Except I can't actually export that. Alright, so how do I basically get this in my own shell? Like, the way it has it... So the way... So, eval export make f... Okay, I guess that works. So now if I want to build the kernel, which is ultimately the goal we are trying for right now. So now we need to go to user source sys arch ARM64 compile generic. Oh look, it's actually compiling. Wow, that was obnoxious. I learned some neat shell foo. It works. Hold on, let me make J8 this. I'm going to just get some tea here. $60 of VAX audio on Discord. Okay, I have to hear this. I have to hear this. VAX Ambience .mp4. So, can I put you on something and just put you on... I want to actually hear this, because I want to hear the ambience. So... Oh, that is actually perfect ambience. Now, I just need to get it on a loop. Let me open it in VLC, because VLC, I can actually loop it. And I can also have the music playing. Like, we can have a proper experience. VLC is doing the bouncy thing. No, I don't want you to use my microphone. Okay, there's the ambience. Let's make the ambience louder. And then I just want you to repeat all. Oh, that is... Oh, that is just lovely. That is properly. I'm gonna go get some. I'm gonna go get some more tea. Yeah, I mean, that's a sound. That is a proper sound. Um, this is the propeller airplane sounds in the from Airplane. Like there's absolutely no mechanical parts involved in this because we're 2 steps away from the VAX. Yeah, I'm gonna add some music on top. Let's add some music. Oh, chat, that is just like perfection. And look, it's linking. Ah. Chat, look, it's done. I just realized I built the wrong kernel. We need generic MP. Why did oh, hold on. Yeah, I built the wrong kernel. Oh well. We have more time to listen to just nice ambience. In fact, I'm going to just get rid of the J option because I just kind of want to relax here. Okay. Well, that works. That is soothing to the soul. I will also get OpenBSD running on the laptop while this builds. Because I am going to need... We're going to have to actually see if we can build... If we can actually run it. So, OpenBSD ARM. Okay, OpenBSD ARM. I'm just going to enjoy the ambience. Because, like, I don't get to enjoy... Look, the ambience showed up on its own. This is nice. Like, this is nice. All right, so I've got the laptop booted up, so I'm just going to enjoy this. I need to pass out. I have an early day tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to get a profiling build built tonight because I then need to figure out how to edit the config, but at least being able to cross compile is kind of a victory. Like proper piano as set to deck hard drive noises. Let me see here. I think this just needs to be a little lower. See, I'm not tired. That's the problem. It's just I have to deal with. I have to go into New York tomorrow, and that always sucks. That always sucks hard. Let's see here. Yeah, like I'm just kind of enjoying this. Is it done? No, it's not done yet. I removed the -J just because I really just want to kind of zone out. I will see if we can just figure out how to do the profiling build, because realistically debugging this is going to just kind of suck. All right, you know, we can throw the J8 back on it, because I don't want it to get too late. This is only going to be a free maybe 4-hour stream at the most, but I want to be lying down. I want to lie down at midnight, around midnight. So as long as we actually, like, you know, have it 95% of the way there, I'm going to walk away happy. I'm actually going to look up how you do OpenBSD profiling, because I'm assuming there's a page on it. Here it is. KGMon. For generate a dump of the operating system's profile buffers. So, when no arguments are supplied, KGMon indicates the state of the per CPU operating system profilings as running, off, or not configured. See config. If P flag is specified, KGMon extracts profile data from the operating system and then produces a file. So I guess what we really have to do is we have to install the profiling kernel, and then we just need it to do something for an extended period of time, to understand, like, let it run for, I don't know how long you would actually have to let it run given how dreadfully bad it's going, but there could be multiple issues. So it needs to run a non-trivial workflow, and I guess we could just let it build the kernel. I guess that wouldn't be terrible. It wouldn't be fast, but it certainly shouldn't be. It probably wouldn't be end of the world bad. Yeah, I think that's exactly what we're going to do. That probably will be, we do it tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Hey, look, it's done building. Okay, so All right, so there's the kernel. So the easiest way to do this is to SSH it from here. I feel like I'm losing viewers. Well, you know, as midnight approaches, I should expect to lose quite a few viewers. Mm-hmm. It's a MicroVAX 3100 M40, but we're yak shearing because I need OpenBSD to work well on my laptop because I'm not going to have regular access to this desktop. So I need to make OpenBSD run acceptably well on the laptop so I can make it work well on other places. File, okay, BSD is fine. Come on, brain, work with me. Okay, you are 64.9. That's not a real IP address, is that? Yeah, that's not a real IP address. You know what? I can work with that. I can work with that. If we... There we go. Downloading the kernel. Alright, so the $1,000,000 question is, does it boot? I'm not going to bother changing the scenes. We're just going to reboot it, and then we'll look at and then if it boots, I'll bring it up dmessage afterwards. So let me hit reboot here. Let me watch on the server console, or the VM console. Alright. Syncing disks. UEFI. Boot config. Waiting for it to spin. Well, it did boot, so it did successfully build the kernel. Okay. It's running in virtualization, but it's running so miserably that I need to see what's actually wrong with it. Like, either this is completely broken on ARM, or something about it running in UTM is making it a very unhappy system. Hey, look, there it is. That's not exactly what I was looking, but look, the build time, Monday, May 13th. Yeah, that's correct. So if we do the... Yeah, if we do kgmon, it's profiling not defined in kernel. So that is perfect. That is exactly what we want to see. So now we want to run config somewhere, because we need to make a profiling kernel. So we can now know that we can actually build it. Yes, we cross-compiled from AMD64 to ARM64. Yeah, so we were able to build it. Now I just need to figure out how to turn on profiling while cross-compiling. Because NetBSD was not running this slow. I was able to build the VAX kernel just fine on NetBSD, and I was building on my laptop. Yes, no, I was building on my laptop. I'm not... No, I'm going to trust that I am not completely crazy. I'm pretty sure I was building on my laptop. So let me figure out how this configure thing works. Because basically config creates a new build directory. So, oh, I see how this works. Wow, that is very, okay. So if I do something like home and commander, profiling, profile build, I want to use the source here, and I want to build Arch ARM64 conf generic MP profiling. Okay. I don't think I even need the oh, wow, it really wants it right there at the beginning, doesn't it? Okay, that's fine. Cannot read, so I need to be in user source like that. Okay, question mark? Well, I have a make file. Can I make? I can make. Alright, let's see if we can actually build a profiling kernel. I mean, seems straightforward enough. Yeah, we're making. I personally found it ran. The only problems I had with Ubuntu on ARM64 or on UTM were the problems that I would expect from Ubuntu on ARM64. I have a lot of experience with Ubuntu on ARM64. I can't see Apple ever giving up XNU. Honestly, the fact that they have their own platform and a lot of in-house experience, XNU gives them far more flexibility and far more stability. They control the whole thing in and out. Like, the most they would ever do is switch to a fork of the BSDs, but it's Apple maintaining XNU for their own hardware is a drop in the bucket compared to what they're spending on making Apple silicon. So I'm just gonna let this build. Like we are, yeah, we have PG in there, so it is building with profiling. I mean, this is going relatively smoothly. AW42, just try rebuilding the kernel. Like, I found it abnormally slow and spin locking. But that's why I'm building this, so I'm not completely losing my mind. I want to see what the kernel is actually doing before I file a bug report. Because they're just going to ask me to do this. If nothing else, I'm learning. Okay, there we go. So that's the profiling kernel built. So, all right. All right, so that's the profile kernel. Well, this is something I just need to solve if I'm actually going to do, like, work on OpenBSD off the laptop. If I have to do it with an AMD64 box, I will do it with an AMD64 box, but I really don't want to. And realistically, if this is a spin lock, it may not be terrible to fix it. It depends on what we're spin locking on. That's why I kind of need to know this. That's why I want to see how bad the pain is. Well, we're going to see is what it comes down to. All right, so that's the new kernel installed. Let me reboot on the console. And fingers crossed this works. Okay, well, it started. It is notably slower profiling. Like it's still start reordering and starting things up. But I would expect a profiling build to be slower, and it was already slow to begin with. But it is booting, so I should be able to SSH in probably about now. Okay, so yeah, that doesn't look like I got the new kernel. Yeah. Did I SCP the wrong file? Oh yeah, okay, I wasn't root. That would do it. That would completely do it. Okay, make sure before installing your new kernel that your kernel is in the upright and locked position. let's see if that actually boots. Hey, there we go. Profiling kernel. I'm watching the D message. I just saw it. All right, cool. And then we now got a profiling kernel installed. All right. Still waiting for the OpenBSD VM to... All right. So, all right. Profile build. So that's exactly what we want. We've got four CPUs, which I believe is what UTM is configured for. So we don't have the same sort of thing it was doing before. Yeah, it's not. So if we look in dmessage, yeah, ncommander, OpenBSD, maker, my domain, blah, 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 blah. Good seed. Yeah, okay, so it's happy with this, and there was a message about it being a profiling build. Yeah, here it is, profiling kernel. So that seems to be everything being all happy. So if I run kgprof or okay, so kernel profiling is off. So before we turn it on, let me show you exactly what it's doing. So here's top, and let me come in on another session. And the easiest thing we could probably do is just build the NetBSD kernel. Let me just let me actually download it from the all right, OpenBSD. And then if we look here, this probably isn't enough to make it do it. Once I have it actually, like, you know, doing compiling GCC, you'll see exactly how Glacier this is running. The way we saw it is that when we tried to do the CVS import, it was abnormally slow. Like, I wasn't sure why. This is slower than it should be, but it might be the upstream mirror that's slow because I'm grabbing it from an EU server. So... yeah, yeah, I know. I have my comfort zone, and I'm currently very comfortable in it. Like, one of the things I discovered, yeah, see, like, feels very slow to what it should be. And, like, look, 20% of the CPU is spin locked. That is not normal. The CPU should not be, it should not be spin locking this much. Like, it really does feel like it cannot be using more than one CPU core. Because if we look at the percentages, it's like ARM SMP. What's that at? And I'm a little afraid that might be what we find. I'm going to let it run the actual build, though, because I think that'll be more deterministic. I can always clean it. So... yeah, like, it doesn't seem to be able to actually use more than a full CPU. But even when I was trying to compile, it wasn't able to do that. OpenBSD may have no idea about Big Little, to be perfectly honest. Okay, that's actually compiled. So how do I actually turn on the profiling? I'm assuming... so kgmon. I guess I give it... so it's B, and then it's P to dump it. So let's do K... okay, profile is running. So then I should just be able to do... this is going to be painfully slow. I might just let... you know what? I'm just going to let it run. Oh, that is slow. Chat, I gave it J4. Like, when I said that this is running abnormally slow, I was not kidding. Chat. The get up and go got up and went. Nope, that's not what we want. We want here. Hey, chat, look at all the spin lock. Like, that's spin lock. I haven't seen it done this, but I mean, yes, there's a reason why I want to know what it's doing, and let's see if we can actually print that out. Okay, so gpmon print. I probably have to be root for this. Okay, there's the profile. So I guess okay, that's binary data. Can I just run gprof on that? Like, so gprof, like, can I just like do gprof bsd gmon 00 out? Yes, I can. So what is it actually doing? It's spending a lot of time spinning. Let me actually write this out to a file. Because that's going to be a long file. Let's also let's take a look at that. So it's spending 51 of its percent is just idling. idling. There's got, yeah, something has to be spin locked. What is it spin locking on? Let me look at this. Let me make sure I'm understanding the output of the file. The total amount accounted for in its descendants. What is MTX enter? You know, hold on. Let me see here. Let me just see if I can find where is spin lock or spin. I didn't think. Okay, it's not gonna be that easy. I gotta figure out what I'm looking at to even make educated guesses. IRQ handler. I think it's unhappy with. I think it's an interrupt problem. EL0 sync. EL0. Privilege levels on ARM start at 3 and go down to 0. So it's EL3, which is trust own. EL2, which is hypervisor. EL1, which is UEFI, although UEFI can be at EL2. And EL0 is userland. So this is handling basically anything that happens in userland life. Okay. We are spending 10% of our time dealing with an ICQ handler. %12 of our time is dealing with an EL1 handler. Something here doesn't look right. Like, we're spin locking on something we should not be spin locking on. But if there's a problem in the interrupt handler code, that actually explains behavior, because then only one. I bet this sounds like one processor is handling all the interrupts on the system. Is it really that miserable? What is do EL0 sync? Because at least now I'm starting to understand what I'm looking at. At least I'm starting to understand what I'm looking at. I'm going to have to do this on the system itself. I need to turn off profiling because I need this to be a little less. You know what? No, we'll do this on OpenBSD Maker because that system's going to be Glacier no matter what happens. So, what is EL0 sync? Is this? This is old code. Okay, so EL0 sync. So it's receiving a trap and it's processing userland must not pack machine, only here to debug. So these all look like they trap stuff. Let's take a deeper look here. What else? Are we going through trap signal anywhere in our call graph? MTX enter. Let me just see what MTX enter is. I'm assuming, yeah, okay, that MTX enter is a lock of some type. Okay, yeah, no, MTX enter. It looks like that's actually how you spin the kernel lock. Okay, so we are spinning pretty aggressively. Look, the kernel is spending 9% of its time just spinning on a spin lock. And it's like it's stuck on, it's like it can't dispatch to other like something in the SMP doesn't feel right. That's how I can describe this best. All right, so we're basically just spinning. So we are spending a lot of time in do EL sync. I mean, we're spending almost all our processing time here in this do EL. Here, we were looking at handle, weren't we? Oh yeah, that didn't actually build because I wasn't in the right folder. But it gets the point across. This is pretty dreadful. So we do call, okay, so we do call do sync here. So it's right here where we basically are. Well, that's fun because I don't know which path we're going down. Data abort, breakpoint, trap signal. FPU load. Like, this is the... Why does this feel like this branch might be relevant? The reason I feel this might be relevant is because the other branches deal with... Oh, SVC could be another one. Most of these deal with sending a signal that is coming from a hypervisor down to a process. Basically, the EL0 does something the hypervisor doesn't like, and it's sending the kill signal down the pipeline. That's what this code looks like. But every time when this code gets run, interrupts we are running with interrupts enabled. Refresh credentials. And we're not hitting the default case if we're spending this much time here. But if we are spending so much time here, why are we spinning so badly? Like, I have no kernel messages that tell me... Like, exception unknown, unless it's something about refreshing the credentials that could do it. Because here's EL1 sync. I don't know why. I guess OpenBSD supports being loaded. Oh, no, EL1 makes sense. Because EL0 deals something that's generated in user land. EL1 would be dealing with stuff that runs in the kernel space. EL2 would be UEFI in most cases, and EL3. Okay, yeah, no, this is coming back to me. It's been a long time since I've looked at this type of code. So refresh credentials. Current CPU, align flash. You know what? Are the other processors doing anything different? Like, I assume not, but it behooves me to check. Yeah, no. Oh, well, that one makes it real obvious. It's doing handle and EL0 sync. Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can get some more. Let me look at this more specifically. What is this actually doing? Because now that I'm looking at this code, at least it's starting to make sense of what the magic code is doing. So it's entering most of its time entering this function, but it's not calling most of any of it. It's not calling the uabort. It's not calling signal handler. It's not handling grow. Kernel unlock and kernel lock. Okay, hold on. PMAP enter cycle 1. PMAP sounds like protected map or VM map. And we're spending a lot of CPU time here as well. Although that's probably just what's happening during a kernel. Like, this says cycle 1 as a whole. The index of the function, the call graph listing as an aid to locating it. See below. Called total, called self. Are we recursing on ourselves? Is that what's happening? Because it says called total, called self for user. I'm not certain I understand this tool well enough, but let me see if I can figure out what it's actually doing in chat. Let me see what chat's saying. You know, that's actually a fair point that I might get more performance out of the single. Yeah, you know what? Why don't we just test that to see? Because at this point, I need to think about this. And maybe because if it's doing it with the SMP kernel, which I assume would be like, let's just see how bad it is with this one. Because that's the non-profiling. It's the one that shipped with it. It would be the non-SMP one. Let's just see if that's, like, less terrible. Because if this is still garbage slow, then what I should do is I should profile a non-SMP kernel. Because at least it might be less magic. But I have this horrible sensation this is an SMP problem. Alright, well, it's booting up. Yeah, I have that. It could be a problem with the hypervisor. But this actually booted up faster. This is actually booted up a lot faster. Okay, so yeah, we only have one CPU. Like, chat, that is notably faster. Maybe. It feels faster. Let's actually... Let me actually get in there and let me, like, go into Arch, ARM64. Generic. Let's... Chat, I think that's faster, chat. Can I SSH in? Chat. Yeah, it's not spin locking, chat. Oh, that is miserable. That is going to be absolutely ass to debug. That is going to be absolutely fucking ass to debug. I'm not actually sure I'm up to that. Well, I'm willing to try. Let me see if there's a bug report about this, because obviously... I don't see anything specific here for ARM. Yeah, the SMP is complete garbage. That's faster. No, even without -J, it's still bad. It's that is complete ass. I it's got to be doing something. I need to actually. I'm gonna have to look and see what it actually does to enable SMP. Hold on. I have this horrible sensation. I have an idea. MTX enter is us entering a spin lock. But where are we entering it? Oh, we're entering. Hold on. I think that's where we're entering it from because that's the previous point in the call graph. So if we're entering it there, we get called in from AMP in C SPL raise, which is consistent with my thought that we are getting spammed from somewhere. Yeah, like that sounds this the behavior of the, interrupt just going off constantly. That's consistent with what I'm seeing here. So what is AMP spin raise? This is what we care about. And see. What is it? Dev. This driver implements the interrupt controller as defined by. It's a Cortex GIC. I mean, I guess that's pretty standard. All right, so what is SPL raise? Current CPU. Set IPL because there's a race window where the variables updated for the mask sets. Blah, 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 blah. Hardware may not spin raise, completely messing up SPL protection. I know in very old Unix, SPL directly referred to the privilege execution level on the PDP-11. What is calling this? Like, why are we SPL raising? Interrupt handler. There's code here to debug in C. IRQ's fired. S equal SPL raise. So we're spending like all our time constantly listening to interrupts. And these... Where are we getting called? Where are we raising from? Generic space right 4. That is a function name, but that it does look like we're actually getting called from. What the hell is generic space right 4? Like, what? So we get to generic. So we're okay. So we need to keep going backwards in the call stack. So 706. We end up here. Which causes SPL raise, which causes most of our processing stuff. It's like this gets self-referential many times over. But why do you get SPL raise? Like, what are you possibly doing here? Something on the main bus makes sense. Because it looks like it's got this... Here, let's see what it's actually doing there. Like, Arch, ARM64, dev, ARM64 bus space, generic space, right, 4. So that's all that does. That just basically just writes 4 through a volatile. All right, so... This function gets called a lot from somewhere, but it doesn't tell me where that somewhere is. But I'm guessing something on the bus is writing out data, because that makes sense from what I'm seeing here. So it basically makes space right 4, so data is getting written out on the bus somewhere. So what are we actually trying to do? You know, hold on. There's a better way to... I just had a better idea. I'm now that I'm starting to actually get what I'm doing with this tool, it's starting... I'd like to go to the top, please. If we look at MTX enter, cycle 1 as a whole is basically broken down there. PMAP enter, MTX whole. Where are we entering the spin loop? Yeah, it's every time we go into SPL raise, it looks like it caused it. What else is it currently doing? ARM interrupt handler. Oh, here, hold on. Generic read, generic write. What are we handling here? It's doing a whole bunch of vert IO timer, AG timer, int R. That VirtIO being broken or VirtIO causing interrupt pain is very possible here. Yeah, because here it is. Hierarchy handler. VirtIO receive pending. It's a performance problem with VirtIO and OpenBSD on ARM only makes a lot of sense. It is possible they've never. It's possible it's not well tested on virtualization. Uh, New tracing for. I'm probably going to have to K traces. I think this is going to be a stream for another day. You know what? I'm past midnight, which is kind of when I wanted to wrap it up. So I think we're going to have to run this down tomorrow. I'm going to have to do some thought. My guess is that the problem is in VirtIO. I'm betting if I make the I'm betting if I was to run this with an NFS root, it would be fast. Because because that would also tell us that at least we're not tripping over our own processor core. I'm going to work on it sporadically. I want to make sure I can at least isolate the cause down, even if I can't actually fix it. So, we'll see. Do I want to call it here? You know, it's yeah, it's just past midnight. I really do actually have to be up at reasonable hour tomorrow. So, I'm going to call it here. I will catch you all later. Thank you all for joining in. If I can't sleep, I'll throw the stream back up. Talk to you all later.